Good day, everyone. My name is Irene Dinero, taking up the Bachelor of Elementary Education from Class 2, second year. And I am here, your discussant and presenter for today, which is about the essentials of democratic education. To our further discussion, I'm just about to share its objective. So, when we say democratic education, it has its vital role in creating awareness about democracy. So therefore, it should be open for all citizens of a democratic society. So apart from being open to everyone, it is essential for a democratic education to make maximum efforts for providing best education to children. As we go through the discussion of the democratic education, first thing is we need to know what it is meant for, or what would be the aim of the democratic education. So democratic education is decentralization of education, and it aims to empower students to exercise self-determination in terms of their education. So it means that students are allowed to choose what and how they will study within the given framework of their community, where greater leverage should also make them accountable. So democratic education is a pedagogical concept that has developed over the past 100 years, and meaning that students are in charge of their own learning, which is self-directed learning. So for example, imagine the kids participate in the decision-making processes and they enjoy the freedom of movement and exploration. So they learn through being surrounded by adults who are there to support them. So widen our imagination. So example, you are in a nutshell, and it is an environment free of medication and full of positive emotional connections. So when we say democratic education, it supports youth's empowerment to become independent and conscientious citizens that promotes a sense of belonging and well-being. And for us to be aware of that in any educational institutions, students have the right to make their own choices regarding learning and all other areas of everyday life. In particular, they may individually determine what to do, when, where, how, and with whom, so long as their decisions do not infringe on the liberty of others to do the same. So to have an equal share in the decision making as to how their organizations, in particular their schools, are run and which rules and sanctions, if any, are necessary. So democratic education is defined by this organization that as education conducted in keeping with the above resolution. So democratic education is an education which most appropriately meets the needs of the learner. So the community and society, it does this through developing reflective individuals who are collaborative problem solvers and creative flexible thinkers. So just what the world of constant political turmoil and emerging technologies needs, democratic education can apply to all learners of all the ages in any learning environment. So that said, a significant focus is placed on democratic schools and children, as that is where a lot of the formal education in our societies that takes place. So these schools are communities where Article 12 of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, which states that children have a right to have a say on matters which affect them, and it is fully realized. So these learning communities, whatever they are for, or are unique from each other. So they each populate their own place in the dome or spectrum of diversity within democratic education practice. So guys, beside from all of that we tackled up a while ago, there must always be various advantages of democratic education and disadvantages. So, but we come first at the 8 advantages of democratic education. And first one of that is freedom. So, to prepare for democratic citizenship, students must learn to exercise their rights and able to understand their responsibilities. choice, the ability to have autonomy in the direction of one's own educational path, and control, the ability to decide how to approach major educational needs that are the two main principles of democratic education. So students, equal choice and control over their own educational careers are being allowed to choose an area of the study. So, and the entire educational plan revolves around that subject area, and students are provided opportunities to express personal opinions, make meaningful choices, and solve problems together in ways that reflect democratic processes that inherent to society. So in the American system, for example, democratic school supports Supreme Court guidelines for students' rights. Second is active involvement. So democratic education views students as active participants in the process of their learning. It takes into account their views, treats each pupil as an individual who has their own skills and interests. So, and allows them to follow the path they want to pursue, and it is not limited to a class lecture, an extracurricular activity, or even to the school grounds. It requires students to learn civic participation skills in critical thinking, constructive debate, problem solving, collaboration, and working in groups. So these skills must be reinforced through meaningful practice that the community service projects, integrated service learning, participation in student government and student courts, and involvement in school and community decision making. Thirdly is holistic learning. So we live in an advantages is better citizens. So students learn to communicate as a thoughtful citizens by discussing school and community issues as well as political topics, including current events and controversies. They involve in debates, constructive discourse, and accept dissent in a democratic way. It requires free and thoughtful exchange that a democratic education provides a forum for all its stakeholders where students, parents, faculty, staff, and administrators to think critically, listen actively, and express personal convictions. Next is decision making. Students in a way get trained for better decision making and make decisions that suits them. Classes schedules are open for debate and vote so that all students in the class feel as if they had a voice in the decision-making processes of a day-to-day educational task. Democratic education provides the students with real power to make decisions in the school in areas such as educational planning and programs to be offered. Advantages is sense of ownership. So the most important benefit of democratic education is the student ownership of their education. So when people own their choices, they are more engaged in making those choices work to their own benefit and good. When a choice is pushed on a person without consent, the person does not have a sense of ownership, and thus doesn't always feel compelled to work to make the situation a success. Disadvantage. democratic educations, especially their schools, allow students a great deal of autonomy where they can shape and mold their lessons to their desire and create roles for themselves that may not exist in the outside world. So, however, the problem lies when the real world doesn't always operate this way. So, making it challenging for students to find the same type of creative liberation elsewhere upon graduating. So therefore, those that have grown up in a democratic school may want to consider carving out a professional career where they have the autonomy to flex their creative muscles. If they are unwilling to adapt to traditional careers that are often bounded by rules and hierarchy. So guys, from all of that assumptions, it's either negative or positive. The most important thing we can do is just to recognize its real significance. So imagine if students positively get a benefit from democratic education, specifically regarding the development of identifying others' needs and fostering compassion. So it is likely that this will be made into everyday interactions. So the benefits of individual growth mean that there will be more positive influences in social interactions, potentially leading to a decrease in a negative behavior. Also providing opportunities for students to participate in a non-discriminatory classroom which recognizes the importance of equal opportunity that will help build the foundation of non-discriminatory action as an adult. Once again, potentially leading to a decrease in negative behavior. So that would be all, guys. Hope you learned something about this topic, which is the democratic education. So God bless us all.